What is up, my Lorcana Goons, and welcome back to the Lorcana Goons channel. It is Friday, and we're here for the Friday Weekly Market Watch, where Zach Stone and I talk about the Lorcana news, meta trends, and card prices. And we've been seeing some nice meta trends since this past weekend's tournament results, especially post-ban list. We have a lot of enchanted and meta cards to talk about. There's not much news to talk about other than the Grand Prix situation that was announced was 2 days ago, yesterday, where we now know for sure that we're going to be getting the DLC promos for the Grand Prix, which is pretty awesome. But Zach, how are you doing today?
Doing very well, Kevin. Thank you for asking. And my Lorcana Goons, today is Friday. I'm excited to go over today's market watch. We got some interesting cards to talk about as well. But I just want to give a reminder to join our Discord server. Our community is growing each and every day, and I love the discussions going on. So please get involved in our Discord server. But Kevin, yeah, what's in front of us today?
Well, I wanted to talk about real quick how you feel about the idea of Japanese Rapunzels, foil and Japanese, it's Japanese Rapunzels, Let It Go, the Cinderella promo, and I've even seen pictures, sorry if I don't have them here ready to go, but I even have pictures of the Rockstar Stitch promo coming too, in a Japanese language, which is really cool. So basically, other people are getting the promos that we've already gotten. How do you feel about that?
I think it's an overall good thing because in the Eastern Hemisphere, I would think that they need to have their own tournaments and their own pricing. However, for it to be the same ones in just a different language is kind of interesting. I don't think they want to make any collectors feel like they have to jump ship or have to acquire these copies. I think the English ones are going to retain their value and then some, but these are amazing looking cards. I'm interested to see the card stock. There we go. We got the picture of the Rockstar Stitch.
Yeah.
And that is that's awesome. I'm glad they get to have the same experiences we did, but they get to have them done a lot better, and they get to have it more refined because they've been working on it. And then it's like we're the first to test the waters in this TCG, unlike other TCGs, right, Kevin?
Yeah. A lot of the TCGs that are based not in the United States or the Western Hemisphere, they have like what's called an OCG, or their format first, and then we get it like months later. But it's reversed for Lorcana, which is really fun to see. I think one of the biggest differences is the promo symbol at the bottom right here. They're using the circle, the little orb promo that they're currently using now. But back then they used the little triangles, those were the old promo emblems before. And I'm really excited. I'm really excited for other people to experience what we got to experience with the first set championships. I wonder if it's going to be like top 4, top 8. They'll probably do top 8 for them though, just for the sake of keeping it consistent. But yeah, I'm excited to see some of these DLC promos are for their Japan Grand Prix promos, I guess is what it's going to call it. The only one we haven't gotten confirmation of is the Golden Mickey. So I wonder if we're going to see a Japanese Golden Mickey. But if you want to win some of those, you're going to have to keep up with the meta, obviously. You also have to play over there. And apparently you have to speak Japanese language to enter those tournaments, which is something I've heard from other card games as well. But when we have DLCs here, you got to keep up with the meta game and the prices and the trends so that you know what to expect when you go play your tournaments, whether it's championships, the DLCs, etc., etc. And right now, there's some pretty interesting cards that have been shooting up in price, like the Enchanted All Is Found, which is now $200 at least $200. Lowest verified is by Treasure Grotto, $231 right here for our lowest verified. And most recent sales are definitely confirming this $200 price point. These are from 3 days ago, but they're still selling for sure. $200, $194, $190, $200, $200. Several sales happening at the $200 price point for this Sapphire card that is being utilized in Ruby Sapphire nowadays, right?
Absolutely. It's a very good card too in other strategies like Baja Blast. But yeah, this is a fun card. Kevin, it was your chase, and I remember you were looking for some in the very beginning. And do you still have any today?
I still have it, but I wouldn't. It's in the showcase, and I always treat like my showcase at Ninja Exchange, which is where I vend at on weekends. I treat that as like my personal collection that I'm always down to part ways with. I do have some cards back here. These are like signed cards or like personal cards that I will never get rid of. But when in terms of like stuff that's like tournament ready, I'm always down to get rid of that stuff. stuff. I love staring at it. But if somebody asks to pick it up, I'm not gonna say no. But yeah, this was my personal chase from the set. I'm a big Frozen fan. I think the artwork on this is beautiful. And if you know the Frozen lore, it's a very emotional picture, right? You have Anna and Elsa as children with their mother, and we all know what happens to the parents. But enough of that. Why do we use it in Sapphire decks, Zach? Like, what's the strategy?
I believe Vincon Fam popularized this card in his Maui Shark strategy. He is looking to just have more cards to be played against the discard deck. That way, he has extra cards in his Inkwell to be able to play his high cost removal like the Sisu and Bottling Sibling, or be prepared. And yeah, this is a card that also can be used in like I said, Baja Blast, which is blue green, and this allows you to gain the additional ink. Ink geyser exists, so you can kind of go for infinite loops, is what we call it. And it's one of my favorite strategies to have fun with for sure.
Yeah, being a 5 cost song is cool because you can use it in a variety of ways, right? You can, in Baja Blast, for example, blue green, you can shift Baymax, and if you have appropriate targets already in the discard pile, you can use this immediately on like turn 3, which is pretty nuts. So you're ramping 2 cards, which is very important to know. Because you're already ramping from like turn 4 with like Tipo or Sail, and then turn 2 Tipo or Sail, and then turn 3 you'll have 4 ink. You can potentially play a character that can sing this, and then you'll be at 7, 8 ink very quickly, like you mentioned, which lets you just play B Prep or Big Sisu really easily without having to shift it. And I think that's a very important part because oftentimes these like aggressive decks against Sapphire, their strategy is to go as wide as possible before that Big Sisu hits the board. And normally you were shifting onto Sisu Daring Visitor, but now you could just play All Is Found. You get enough ink, so you have 8 ink by the time you need the most before they get to 20, which is kind of important, right?
Yeah, if you're playing like a Diablo strategy, I think that's the way to get that many cards into this card pile that early. But yeah, speaking of Diablo strategies, this card has been played in plenty of Diablo strategies. We want to talk about Bruno the Enchanted is going for about $70 to $72 today. K Collectibles got you at the lowest price. And yeah, this is just a playable Enchanted. We've seen this card hit about 150, $140 in more recent times, but not necessarily right now. So this is a good card to pick up. I know a lot of people have been kind of asking for those playable Emerald Enchanteds, and yeah, they're a little hard to get. Not too many people let them go because of how inexpensive they are. Kevin, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, since I think this card is becoming more and more popular, this card becomes more and more popular. Haha, get it? But we don't talk about Bruno. Kind of hit a bottom of around $60, which is why I wanted to talk about it today. Market price is now 69. Lowest verified is 71, 72. And I think now that Emerald is becoming a trendy deck against a play, we'll see some more sales happen for the Bruno Enchanted. So if you have this card still from your old Emerald decks, like yeah, make sure you hold on to it because it kind of looks like it's going back up. Same thing with Ursula Deceiver of All, a very important card in your Emerald strategies. The market price is 160, but the lowest verified for these is going to be 175 with $5 shipping. Then 179.99 by LexCorp Ryzen Phoenix TCG. Shout out you guys for having these low prices. So if you wanted this card at around 150, 160, it's looking like those days are gone. You would have had to pick it up like weeks ago, a month ago. But right now they're hitting back up to 175-ish. Is looking like the asking price for the Ursa Deceiver of All. This card will let you sing songs twice, which is just very, very strong. Even the Legendary is seeing a lot more sales movement. It's not really going up in price, though, because there's a lot to go around, but still a very popular card now that Emerald is making its way back into the mix. Bolt Superdog is an enchanted that doesn't really see a lot of meta play, but this card just keeps going up and up and up. Very interesting. Market price is at 140 right here, 138. And lowest verified though is 155 with $5 shipping by the Upkeep Games. Then the next verified seller is Luke Aereo Gaming for 165. Why do you think that is, Zach?
Not too sure, but I know there's a lot of bolt strategies being thought about. The anticipation for a lot of illusion support coming in the range of far is something to consider. This character does have the ability itself, you banish a chosen illusion character. And there's a lot of cards that re-ready in the Amber strategy. So I can see this card being used plentiful. However, we'll have to wait. We'll have to wait till some card reveals. I'm excited to find out what we're getting in the next set.
Yeah, I think it's a fan favorite. You know, I think this is like a chase for a lot of people. I know I was able to acquire one, and I keep it obviously in the showcase there, and a lot of people ask about it. A lot of people will look through and be like, "Oh, there's a Disney card game," and then they see Bolt, and they're like, "No way, is that Bolt?" You know, a lot of people actually like the Bolt movie. And if you want to see Zach's collection of his cards, you can go visit him at Frank and Sons Collectible Show on the Saturday and Sunday and Wednesday. That's in the City of Industry in California. So yeah, come say hi to us if you guys are ever in the Southern California area. But another thing I want to mention is you mentioned the illusion ability. I always forget about Bro's illusion ability, and right now we're seeing more illusions get played. We've always seen Giant Cobra kind of be relevant in the meta, but now with no Flaversham, I feel like Purple Steel enjoyers are a little bit more favored into today's meta. And another thing is people are playing the Iago giant bird or whatever it's called. That's a Vanish character too. And I mean that's an illusion character too with the Vanish ability. So maybe there is a world where the Amber Steel strategy pivots a little bit towards Bolt so that you can out some of these big cards, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's important to remember what these cards and abilities do. If you're not fully aware of the card pool, it's hard to not only like play around certain things, it's going to be harder to navigate how you're going to build certain strategies when more cards get released. Like I know everyone kind of shifted to a big Sapphire strategy when we knew we were getting this Tamatoa. Like it has an amazing ability that still is relevant to the game, but the prices are seemingly lower today. We're looking at $41 with a dollar shipping from your lowest verified seller. It's not too much more if you're just going to pick it up from Great Lakes Games, who's got two copies at $42.50. Shout outs to you guys. But yeah, Southside as well, 42.82 and a dollar shipping. I mean, Kevin, this is still looking around like a 43, $45 card, right?
Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised if it kind of keeps taking a dip. Just because there's definitely less people playing Sapphire, less people who believe in Sapphire. The card's still great. I think the card's still amazing. But now with the wide meta that we're in, it does feel like people are getting rid of this card. This card was seeing heights of like 70, $60 in the opening week. 65, it's the highest market price right here. On the opening week, and now we're getting very close to that $40 mark. 42.50 like you mentioned, so a little bit less than 45 right now. Cold foils are still going to be pretty cheap, less than $60, but pretty much $60, right? Flops cards 59 with the $1.25. So if you have the cold foils and you're picking them up at $60, you're still chilling. But it's looking like some of these cards are going down, while some of them are just shooting up, like Maui Half Shark. Look at this, dude. From like $35 to $40 to $60 today, lowest verified by Lorcana Card Kingdom. Shout out you guys for having these prices today. $60 for Maui Half Shark now, man. It's a Maui Shark meta. I was talking about that in the video we just dropped yesterday. And I feel like Maui Shark is that card right now.
All I have is one thing to say. Cheap! Because this card is for sure the the card to beat right now. I think Dinkon Farm has kind of put this card on the map alongside the Pirate's Life and all the cheap action Sapphire has. Mick Duck Manor is also just a scary card that you have to challenge with your characters to remove it more than likely. And this card punishes that by challenging back and adding more actions and just closing out the game with its lore gain. I can't tell you how many times I've had to like consider a lot of different cards in my deck building strategy to counter this card. And if you're not respecting Shark, you are gonna get bit.
Yeah, Shark is an interesting card because it wasn't just DKP that has been popularizing it. There are multiple Ruby Amethyst decks that have been making top cut of these tournaments this past weekend. That were playing Maui Shark, and it's not just Ruby Amethyst; it's Ruby Steel too. There's the Ruby Steel strategies now that utilize Maui Shark. I was trying out a little fun deck, Ruby Amber songs, with and it heavily relied on being able to see a Maui Half Shark. This card is very oppressive. I think. And I think a lot of the reason why it's impressive is because that 5 willpower is very hefty. The 7 strength body means it can clear almost anything, most locations actually. And then being able to grab cards from your discard pile is always really nice. But the evasive part of it is really where it's at because we're kind of in an evasive meta right now. You were seeing Diablos, Genies, Peter Pans. Who else? We're also seeing the Pegasus be really popular. All of these cards cannot take out a Maui Half Shark. And you could even synergize your Maui Half Shark with some of these cards like the Peter Pan Shadow Finder. You know what I mean? It gives your this card rush, which is really good in Ruby Amethyst. So the fact that the people have been seeing a lot of success with adding Maui Half Shark in their decks, I think speaks a lot about how the meta has changed. It felt like before the only deck that could play this card was Ruby Sapphire because of their ability to ramp into this card. Every other deck was too slow to get to 6 ink by the time you wanted to play just one character. But now, there's a big difference for sure. The fact that Ruby Sapphire can't just spam Flavershams and gain their hand advantage once again means they have to be pretty careful with how they use their T-pos, how they ink twice with their sails and stuff like that. But yeah, Maui Half Shark is a pretty good card this format. I'm not surprised to see it at $60 now. Cold foils, there's not that many left. Not that many left for cold foils, and these are shooting up, Zach. These are $90 basically. Battleground Games, lowest verified, 89.97. Then we have some non-verified sellers here. Doyen's cards, if you want to pick it up for just a little bit cheaper, about $5 cheaper right there. But yeah, Special Ability Games, $90. Then Trader's Kingdom is the last seller for $100 each, but they have a playset, so you can get a whole playset from that one seller. Yeah, cold foils, man, and this is why I like when the legendaries don't have enchanteds, because their cold foils tend to be pretty up there, and that's always nice to see.
Absolutely. Yeah, this card not being an enchanted was interesting. However, those cold foils are reflecting a very high price. The Peter Pan Shadow Finder is a card to pay attention to. This card was about 20 cents, maybe 25 cents. It is now a solid dollar and at least $1.31 shipping on top from TCG Player, and it's more than likely going to become a $2 to $4 card in the next week or so. This card is an amazing card in the meta. It allows a lot of four cost evasive characters to have rush, and I don't think that people understand how important that is in this kind of meta right now. Diablo's running rampant, and we have the Iago plus the new Moana, and of course the Maui Shark. So that character can be played and challenge something immediately, which is always a scary threat.
Yeah, I forgot about the new Moana too. It's a Moana that came out in Arcadia's Island, right? If I'm not mistaken. It's a four
Hmm.
cost character,
Four
four
costs.
strength, three
Hmm.
willpower, has evasive. You're able to give that character a rush, and when she challenges a character, or I think banishes another character of yours, gains 3 strength. So you can do cool combos where you set this Peter Pan up with Moana, then your Peter Pan will have 5 strength too. There's a lot you can do in this meta, and I think that's really awesome. This is the reason why I was very much pro ban list, because it's allowed for a lot of other strategies to flourish, and I think that's really important for the Lorcana metagame. Not everybody wants to play Sapphire, but people still want to win. But yeah, I like that you mentioned that it's a $2 card and that it has potential to shoot back up in price to $4 ish. It's a super rare, so they are a little bit harder to find. Cold foils have been definitely shooting up as well. Check this out: in March and April, there were $2, two little dollars for the cold foils, and now bam, you got to pay at least $11 for the lowest verified right here by Onboard Gaming. Shout out you guys. And then $14 by Honest TCG Shop. Then $16.50 by Digon Deals. Love to see it. That's pretty awesome, especially if you're just someone who likes to collect cold foils. I know there's a lot of master set builders, people who just want to foil out their decks, and I don't know about you guys, but whenever I foil out a deck or something, I tend to just keep those for the future too. I don't just get rid of all the stuff I have. I do think that metas come and go, formats change, as I like to say, so you never know what card's ever gonna come back into the meta and be very important. But yeah, Peter Pan Shadowfinder, very good in most Amethyst decks. I think it's a great out to Diablo right now, and especially other cards, because I've been able to clear a Maui Half Shark with Peter Pan Crab already, which is really good. That's only 6 ink, compared to some of the other outs you used to have. It is an uninkable, so that is kind of rough. You got to pick and choose what you're gonna play with this card. But another card that goes great with the Peter Pan is the Genie Wish Fulfilled. This is an evasive character. You give it rush. If you ever want to challenge extra 2 damage on board, post Peter Pan. But yeah, this card, people were just getting rid of this card. Everybody thought this card was out of the meta. And nowadays it is shooting back up to $11, $12. Lowest verified is going to be $11.95 by Hefty Cards. It's about a $12 card now, guys. This was selling for around $6, $7 in the middle of March. What happened? I hope you guys didn't sell them for too cheap. Cold foils for Genie Wish Fulfilled are getting close to $20 again. $17.67 by Atomic Gaming right here for your lowest verified Genie Wish Fulfilled, right? Another great card that goes along with this strategy is the Iago Giant Spectral Parrot, which does come out in the starter deck. I do want to let you guys know this is a starter deck card, but still shooting up in price, bro. 20 cents, now up to $1 at least. 95 cents by Pokehaven right here, lowest verified. Then $1, $1.50, 166. Some plenty of non-verified sellers who still have it for pretty cheap if you want to get them deals. But yeah, lowest verified, you're gonna have to pay at least $1 for this starter deck card. And the cold foils, Zach, look at this. $13 lowest verified, $15 and $16. Wow, what do you think?
This is crazy, man. This is a yeah, this is a very very interesting thing to see. I've always felt like this card would be a very good character in the when the new Reign of Jafar support comes out. I like the stats that we always thought the stats were very good. It's evasive, and being able to remove evasive threats immediately when you play it with that Peter Pan is really good. And yeah, I even like playing the Peter Pan and like green purple decks because if there's ever like a location and you had Peter Pan Shadow Finder out, you can play your Diablo and swing with it and get it exerted on the turn you play it, which is really good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I like I like that
The
a lot.
dueling Diablo, the dueling Diablo that has
Hmm.
Challenger +3, you can do that too. And give it evade and
Yeah.
give it rush. But yeah, evasive meta guys. So if you guys are seeing this giant parrot running around your local meta, consider adding cards that'll trigger its vanish ability. I know some people are playing Fire the Cannons, Storm Rage on. You can use cards like Improvise, painting the roses red, stuff like that. As long as you can target this card with an action, it'll be banished afterwards. So there are some strategies to counter this, but it's still a really good card. It's a 4/6 body, and it's inkable. That's my favorite part. I don't think it doesn't come foil in the starter deck, right? I don't think it
Let us know
does.
in the comments if it is.
Yeah, I'll double check after this, but I don't think it does. But I think I have like one or two of these, which is really nice to see. But it's a great card. It's a great card. Another great card I want to talk about is Pete Space Pirate. We've been kind of watching this card for the last like week or two, because it's been trending like up and up and up in price, especially with the rise of Emerald Steel being a pretty popular deck right now. These are $5 now. That's for the non-foil too. $5 lowest verified, 447 right here with some extra shipping by Finch and Sparrow. Nomad TCG has it for 499. Some non-verified sellers have it for 385 with some extra shipping, but after shipping, you're still paying around $5 for this card. Gold foils, these are still like $16, $17. Look at that, 1655 by MTG Took My Life. How do you feel about this, Zach?
I think $17 is like the sweet spot for a lot of cold foils we're looking at today, if I can
Yeah,
recall. But yeah, a powerful card in the green steel strategy. I can admit that Steel Song has no answer to Pete on three, Shift Pete on four. It's very oppressive. But the card itself also does a lot. It allows Smee to not necessarily ping himself anymore, which is really good. Opposing characters can exert themselves to sing songs, so it's a higher tempo play against a lot of other decks. And it's just a two lore body, and it's perfect on curve after your peak games, which I think is insane.
Yeah, and when you play peak games, you can't activate any actions. Your opponent, I mean, can't activate any actions. So there's a really high chance that the peak games referee is going to be able to survive. So then you can shift this on turn four, and then you can start singing some songs too. You can sing along Came Zeus. You can start singing. We don't talk about Bruno, which Zach has done against me several times, and he's on a green steel. He's on a green steel binge right now, which is really fun. But yeah, this card's pretty good. The ability to stop your opponent from singing songs, I think, is really nice. There's a lot of cool stuff happening in the meta right now. Dog Bold Knight has been trending upward post ban list. I think a lot of people were kind of gravitating towards using Doc as their next draw engine because it does draw two. Not many cards say that you can draw two in the Lorcana metagame. These were as selling for as high as almost $20 last week. I know people were buying, look at that, near mints for 21, 23, 22. $17, and they kind of have been coming down in price just a little bit. Market price is $17.46 still, but the lowest verified is $13 with some extra shipping, then $14 with a dollar shipping. But after that, it hits $15 already. So very close to a $15 rare still. And I think it's still a very good card. However, it just feels like there's a lot of other ways to play the metagame right now, right?
Yeah, it's my favorite one of in Green Steel too because you have the muses to bounce it back, and it's a very nice card to have when you're just on a like back burner. But cold foils right now are the I think this is the one to talk about more because they are about $30 a copy. That is insane right now for dot cold foils. Do you guys remember when like these were like $2, like $3, and non foils were like 50 cents? Yeah,
Yeah, in
Ever
the very
Spawn remembers.
beginning. Yeah, and nobody thought twice about this card. But the thing about Doc is that you have to kind of develop your whole deck strategy around Doc. You know what I mean? Obviously, you don't like you're playing one, which you could also do in a lot of decks. But I think it is more for like a low to the ground deck. You know what I mean? But yeah, it says draw two cards. That's always really good. There's only about four listings that you can get at $30, and after that, it jumps to $40 by one TCG game. So shout out these $30 listings: Underworld cards, Eclipse cards, Hourglass Shop for these low prices on your dock. Cold foil Bold Knights. Speaking of other cards that I've noticed are still pretty up there in price. This is a nice legendary from Arcasia's Island. Not too shabby, around $8 for the Queen Jealous Beauty. Market price is $9. Lowest verified Izzy's Comic, $7.94 with some extra shipping. Then Ogre Collectibles, $8.93, shipping included for your Queen, the Jealous Beauty. Cold foils are pretty expensive, dude. There's not that many listings. There's only 13 listings, and they range from $17 to $19. Why do you think that is? I don't see a lot of people playing this card, really, realistically.
This card was not printed as an enchanted rare, which again, we looked at Maui Shark already, right, guys? So people might just want to be getting them a little early. That's also something that I can see is like a collectible card in this game, a legendary foil, and it is the Queen. But it has potential to have a very interesting impact on the meta, depending on how it could shape up. But we are in more of an evasive, strategy or like a steal strategy. So like there is a lot of removal. It dodges a lot of the ruby removal, which I like a lot, but the steel removal can easily take it out. So it might not work just yet, but this will always have potential to be a powerful card in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think this card has some high potential. In fact, I keep on trying to put it in my decks, and it just never really works. And since we were talking about the enchanted all is found, we gotta bring up the non-enchanted version of this card, which is a rare from Arcasia's Island. The cold foils. These are going up in price too. The lowest non-verified is $8 with around $3.50 shipping, and then lowest verified Scott's Emporium $11.99, Physics $11.99, so about $12 for your foil all is found. If you guys have been pulling some of these foils from the new set, I hope you hold on to them because now your trade binders are probably looking pretty nice. Even the non-foil Zack Stone, 70 cents with some extra shipping. They're pretty much $2. They're pretty much a dollar to $2 now. For a card that used to be pennies. You know what I mean? That's pretty cool to see, right?
Yes, it's a very good card. It's well deserved too. I like when so many people will like test out different things, and the way the hype works, the way card games work is that prices are always like impacted by news. So like the ban list definitely gave a lot of incentive for people to try different strategies. We're seeing these strategies have some better results at some bigger tournaments, and it's good to see that we have a nice shift in price with some of these cards. But a card that did shift in price, and we did see this card selling for around like $8 to $10 during the announcement of Hiram being banned, is Judy Hobbs cold foils. We're looking at an interesting price today where people are selling them for as low as 88 cents, but we don't know the shipping costs. And yeah, you can buy them right now for about like $3.
Mhm.
Kevin, you want to talk about this right now?
Yeah, so when the ban list was first announced, I saw a lot of people shilling this card and talking about, oh, Judy Hobbs. Judy Hobbs is now the card you're gonna want to play instead of Flaversham. Literally, look how many sales happen on the 8th, bro. Like I'm like infinitely scrolling, and there's so many sales happening on the 8th. And I guess if you bought them for 50 cents, right now you're chilling because they're around $3 for market price. But there's some sales here, dude. There are some sales here that are as high as $10, $9, $8, $6 even. And a lot of it was just hype. It was just this idea that you were able to pop your popsicle and draw one card instead of two cards. And this card is not Flaversham. Like, I didn't really think this would ever replace it. But I thought that was a little strange. That like the news like caused this card to just be super inflated, and I didn't talk about it the week of because I did not want to contribute to the false hype because I just didn't have a good feeling that this card was going to be relevant in the future of the format, and I was right. That's why I didn't talk about it. But we'll talk about it now because they were shooting up in price, and now you can find them for around $3 to $4, or around $5 even lowest verifieds over here. If you want to add it to your Ruby Sapphire strategy, it's an okay card, but I just don't think it's gonna replace Flaversham. Another card I want to talk about is Popsicle. We've seen this card kind of come down in price week by week, and I think Sapphire is still a very important strategy. But especially post ban list, I think a lot of people were kind of giving up on this card in this deck, and they're still pretty cheap. For around $10, you can get Popsicles right now. Underworld cards, lowest verified for 941, Refined Gaming for 941 as well. So really, the reason I want to talk about this is just to let you guys know, like, don't fall for the hype. You know what I mean? Whether it's a post ban list, pre new set, there's a lot of cards that are hyped up, and we just don't know how it's going to really pan out unless you are actively playing the game, practicing, and you come to those conclusions yourself. Or if you want to wait, like most people, for tournament results, when you see the tournament results, that's really what starts to dictate the prices, right?
Absolutely, and don't forget that this card is still being used in like Blurple decks alongside Bell, and it does have a Shift Bell, so that does have some interesting like merit to being played right now. And again, you never know if more item cards like get released in newer sets, and Popsicle again becomes more of like the standard. And there is still some other cards that give you additional benefit when you banish your items. I know there's like a Triton that says when you banish your item, you gain lore. The new Monsieur that when you quest, you banish and draw a card. So there is some implications. And again, it's just a perfect card to play on turn one if you are playing like a slower Sapphire strategy.
Yeah, great card, not going anywhere. A timeless card, even. One of the best things though too is that it just pairs so well with Tamatoa Happy as a clam, as an extra draw engine. I like that you mentioned that Blurple decks are playing this. I'm pretty sure there's room to play like the Sapphire Bell Popsicle Tamatoa engine and a lot of Sapphire decks. I kind of want to try it in Baja Blast now. Maybe get use of that Bell Hidden Archer because that didn't really pop off the way people thought it would in the beginning of the format. But I think it's because of how oppressive Ruby Sapphire and Sapphire Steel were. But that's going to be all for this Friday Market Watch. Thank you so much, my Lorcana Goons, for sticking around to the end of this video. If you're still watching, like, comment, and subscribe because it does support the channel. We really appreciate that. Can't wait to see any more future foreign promos. I also heard that we're getting reprints of the first chapter finally hit in Brazil and other parts of the country too. So the Lorcana game is expanding more and more and more. We're about to hit an entire worldwide release is what it feels like, right?
Yes, it's a very good time for Lorcana, and I'm excited. There's a lot more to come from this game, and I'm very much involved in all the aspects that we have. Our local game stores are hosting some amazing tournaments. Again, guys, if you're not in our Discord server, there are some announcements for our local Southern California players to get involved in some big tournaments with some good prizes. Shout outs to Rob and Caesar. You guys are amazing people. Shout outs to anybody that has came by and sold me cards this past week at Frank and Sons. Really appreciate all you guys and everyone's support throughout the years. It's been great, and we're not going anywhere. So, Kevin, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, just thanks for watching. If you guys have any deck lists that you'd perform well with over this weekend, please drop them in our Discord so that I can make more videos about them this week. Go watch the meta tier list video that we just dropped yesterday too. We're doing live streams as well every week, Wednesdays and Thursdays is what I'm trying to commit to. So hopefully we'll see you guys in those streams and in those other videos in the comments and stuff. But until then, remember to stay tuned to Lurkana Goons, and we'll see you goons next time.